want to ask you, not guilty. What are your thoughts about this? What do you think their thoughts are about this?
Well, I have to commend Judge Williams on not being influenced by public opinion. You know, it's a very, very difficult job to sit as a judge under these enormously stressful conditions. And once again, Barry Williams has shown that he is a fair and impartial man, and a credit to this bench, because this was at best a close case, and Judge Williams' opinion was well thought out and reasonable under the circumstances. And again, I commend him for being a credit to this bench, because there was all kind of pressure, enormous pressure for him to go in the other direction, and he showed tremendous courage in ruling against public opinion.
What do you think the message should be to the community? And are you upset that it was a not guilty verdict? Do you think people will understand the reasoning and listen to what happened?
Well, I don't think anybody should be upset with this verdict. Nor do I think anybody should have been elated about a guilty verdict. And only those people who actually sat through this trial and heard all of the evidence have a right to have an opinion about whether his decision was fair and whether or not it was warranted under the circumstances. So we should all understand that we all have opinions, but unless they're based on the facts and all of the facts, those opinions are essentially irrelevant to this process.
And Freddie Gray's family, do they know? Have they been listening? What do you think their reaction is?
Well, they're a tremendous family, because from the beginning they have told Baltimore that they're not looking for a particular reason. What they were looking for was a fair process based on all of the evidence and based on all of the relevant law. And that's what they got today.
And
that's what they got.
Are you confident that there could be, that this judge can hear the rest of these cases now that he's made his opinion known in this case?
There is no reason that I can think of that he is not capable of hearing all of the rest of the cases, because judges are trained to be able to compartmentalize their decisions and not let them bleed over into any other case. And Judge Williams has more than adequately demonstrated his ability to do that. And I think that any attempt to remove him from the rest of these cases based on this record would be unwarranted. Judges are trained, for example, to hear a person's confession and rule on whether it was voluntary, and then in the same procedure determine whether or not, if he has found the confession involuntary, as has happened in many cases, the rest of the evidence is sufficient to convict without regard to paying any attention to that inadmissible confession. So judges are well trained to do this.
Do you think it's just that Officer Nero was more peripheral in this? I mean, he wasn't the supervisor, he wasn't the van driver. Is that what it maybe came down to here?
Well, I think Judge Williams articulated all of the relevant circumstances that caused him to find that Judge Nero was not involved. And I guess a shorthand way to put it would be that he was basically not a player in what happened to Mr. Gray. And the judge found that he had no duty to go beyond what he did, and he based that on the relevant case law, the circumstances involved, and the absence of the proof of certain critical facts. For example, that there was no proof that he ever read the information that was disseminated to him, and there was no proof that he had ever been specifically trained to do anything other than what he did.
Thank you very much, Billy Murphy, attorney for the Gray family. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.